June 1982. The skies over Lebanon's Bekaa Valley are a deadly web of Syrian surface-to-air missiles. For the Israeli Air Force, this is a nightmare waiting to happen. Just 9 years earlier, during the Yom Kippur War, these same Soviet-made missiles had torn through their ranks, downing a quarter of their fighter jets. Flying into the Bekaa Valley felt like a suicide mission. The Syrian defenses, centered around the mobile and lethal SA-6, SA-2, and SA-3 batteries, were a fortress in the sky. Past attempts to dismantle these networks had failed disastrously due to poor intelligence and predictable tactics. The Israeli High Command knew they couldn't afford a repeat. They needed a game-changer, a radical new way to fight. And so, a special team was born, tasked with one mission: to crack the missile code. In a high-tech command center in Tel Aviv, a young systems engineer named Miri was at the heart of this revolution. She was part of the team developing something new, something that would change the face of warfare: unmanned aerial vehicles, or drones. These small, pilotless aircraft, the Mastiff and the Scout, could loiter over enemy territory for hours, acting as the eyes and ears of the Air Force. They could beam back real-time radar data, revealing the exact location of every Syrian missile battery. Meanwhile, a 28-year-old F-16 pilot named Ran was preparing for the fight of his life. The memory of his uncle, a Mirage pilot lost over the Sinai in '73, was a constant shadow. But this was a new era. In his cockpit, glowing computer screens and head-up display had replaced old paper maps. Ron, Miri, and strategists like Lieutenant Colonel Aviasella were weaving together a complex network of technology and tactics, linking drones, pilots, and commanders into a single, seamless fighting machine. They weren't just planning an attack, they were orchestrating a symphony of destruction. On June 9, 1982, the fourth day of the First Lebanon War, the signal was given. Operation Mole Cricket 19 was a go. At 2 in the afternoon, a massive force of nearly 100 F-15s and F-16s roared into the sky. But the first to cross into the Bekaa Valley weren't fighters. It was Miri's drones. They flew in formations that simulated a massive Israeli air raid. On the ground, a Syrian missile officer named Ahmad watched his radar screen light up, believing a huge attack was underway. He gave the order to fire up the radars and engage. It was a fatal mistake. The moment the Syrian radars went live, they gave away their positions. At the same time, Israeli electronic warfare pods blanketed the area, jamming Syrian communications and cutting Ahmad off from his command. He was blind and deaf, launching missiles at phantom targets, completely unaware that the real storm was just about to break. With the Syrian defenses lured out and blinded, the real attack began. F-4 Phantoms unleashed a barrage of anti-radiation missiles, homing in on the very radar signals the Syrians had just turned on. Above them, Ran and his fellow F-16 and F-15 pilots formed a protective shield, engaging the swarm of Syrian MiGs that scrambled to intercept. The sky erupted into one of the largest jet fighter battles in history, with over 150 aircraft locked in a chaotic dogfight. Ran found himself locked onto a MiG-21, the enemy pilot twisting desperately through a Over his radio, he heard the clear instructions from the Hawkeye command aircraft, a stark contrast to the frantic, jammed shouts of the Syrian pilots. Back in Tel Aviv, Miri watched anxiously as each missile battery that lit up on her screen was methodically targeted and destroyed. One by one, the red icons blinked out. After 2 relentless hours, with 14 missile batteries reduced to rubble, and the sun beginning to set, Air Force Commander David Avery gave the order to disengage. Flying on near-empty fuel tanks, Ran banked south, looking back at a valley filled with pillars of smoke rising from the destroyed missile sites and the wreckage of downed Ami. On the ground, Ahmad stumbled out of his ruined bunker into an eerily silent sky. The impenetrable air defense array he had put his faith in had simply vanished in that single operation. And over the next 2 days, 19 Syrian missile batteries were destroyed and 23 Syrian aircraft were shot down. The Israeli Air Force suffered 0 losses. It was an unprecedented, almost unbelievable victory. Operation Mole Cricket 19 became a legend, studied in military academies worldwide as the textbook example of modern electronic warfare. It was the first time a sophisticated Soviet air defense network had been completely dismantled by Western technology and tactics. For Ran, it was a form of closure, proof that the painful lessons of the Yom Kippur War had been learned. For Miri, it was the moment her designs on a computer screen became a life-saving reality. The operation wasn't just a military victory. It was the dawn of a new age of warfare, where clever tactics, integrated technology, and real-time intelligence could overcome brute force. It was the day the sky changed forever. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content.